basically the camera cut out.
Yeah, my bad.
And you were nice enough not to interrupt.
I did.
my
I
whole
let it go
turns.
for like a hot minute.
Then I look up and it's like, oh.
I was like, it was a great spiel. I loved it. Do it all over again.
Oh my gosh, I love tea.
Alright, you guys, what up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Keith. Man of Blood, here to bring you knowledge, information, and hopefully, at the very least, a bit of entertainment. We're here with Gem Goddess today.
Hi guys.
Gem Goddess gonna talk crystals. Gonna talk crystals and the pineal gland.
And the pineal gland as well.
And the pineal gland, in the pineal gland, of the pineal gland.
How it's all connected.
What was it? I'm most stoked on crystals in the pineal gland. Can you talk about crystals in the pineal gland?
Yeah. So, should we just hop right into that? Should we just do it? Should we just bite the bullet? Okay, so interesting thing. If you guys don't know what the pineal gland is, it's a gland in the brain responsible for releasing or kind of regulating growth hormones, especially like during puberty, stuff like that. It also it's responsible for releasing a lot of DMT, which gets released when you're born and when you die, and sometimes when you're in very deep states of REM sleep. Interesting thing about the pineal gland, though, is that there is actually crystals in the pineal gland. So this is something that not a lot of people know about, and the ancients used to talk a lot about the pineal gland. Like even in ancient Egypt, they used to draw like the Eye of Horus, which is actually, if you cut the pineal gland in half and if you divide the brain and you look at the pineal gland, it actually looks exactly like the Eye of Horus, which is very interesting. So they used to refer to it as the all-seeing eye, which is why it's known as your third eye, and it's the gland that is your third eye. The interesting thing about the crystals in the pineal gland is that if you add pressure on these crystals, similar to when you add pressure, for example, in a watch that uses like quartz crystals, it creates kind of like an electricity that goes through it. And so you can actually do this in your pineal gland as well. And there's some like supernatural breathing techniques that you can do that actually will pump up some cerebral spinal fluid in your body that basically goes up your spine. And as you do these breathing techniques and you're pushing that cerebral spinal fluid up, it will rinse out the brain for one thing, adding a lot more mental clarity. And it will also add pressure towards the pineal gland, and the pressure on the pineal gland then puts pressure on these crystals that are in it, and you begin to have some crazy metaphysical experiences when you do this. It also stimulates the release of DMT as well, especially if you're in a really deep state of meditation. So you'll have some pretty mystical, wild experiences with your pineal gland if you learn how to activate it or how to do these sorts of things. So it's really cool.
Kundalini, is that what was that what you mean by pushing up cerebral?
Yeah, so it's actually really similar to a Kundalini awakening, sort of. It's like awakening your pineal gland, but through that experience, it's very similar to a Kundalini experience. At least whenever I've done it, it's pretty similar. It has its differences though, because it's almost like the one of pushing up your cerebral spinal fluid, that's more connected to sort of awakening or turning on your third eye, at least in my understanding and kind of like how I've experienced it. I see it as more of like a third eye activation, whereas the Kundalini awakening is also similar, but it's like the buildup of more of the prana energy, and then the prana energy gets then released and you have like a full body experience. And this one's also very similar to a full body experience, but just at least in my understanding, at least when I've done them, I feel like there's still like a slight difference between them both, but also very similar.
Yeah.
I feel like they're tied in together.
So you have your crystals. Mm-hmm. You squeeze them, and we're talking about this earlier with it's like called piezoelectric or something.
Yeah, piezoelectricity.
Piezoelectric. So you squeeze a quartz, for example, and it emits a stronger frequency. Is that how it works?
Yeah, like an electrical frequency, basically.
And so you squeeze them, and it sort of creates a resonance inside the pineal gland that bounces, it stimulates things. Is that how it's working?
Mm-hmm. So it kind of creates like it's piezoelectricity that gets stimulated in your brain, in your pineal gland, and you have your own kind of like magnetic sort of attraction or magnetic field. Makes your field a lot stronger as well, because even Dr. Joe Dispenza, if you guys ever watch Rewired on Gaia, it's highly recommend it. But basically when you go into really deep states of consciousness, you can increase your own electromagnetic field, you can increase your own balance of your energy centers. It just like, it really stimulates the mind. It makes law of attraction work better if you guys are ever into that. Like, your thoughts create your reality, and so the things that you're thinking, if you have a stronger magnetic field around you, you're going to be able to attract things a lot easier, because if you have a stronger magnet, of course you're going to, you know, bring anything to you so much faster and so much easier.
Dope. You led perfectly into what I was going to ask. Mm-hmm. The resonance with crystals. I'll try not to get too derailed with this, but I've talked on my channel a lot before with law of attraction and resonance, in particular on how the law of attraction works. And how can I say this without going too crazy? Manifesting things is more about stimulating your environment, more about evoking your environment, more so than, I guess, pulling things towards you. And the example that I always use is resonance. So the definition of resonance loosely is the synchronous vibrations of neighboring objects, and they amplify each other. Mm-hmm. And a good example of that is, you might know because you play music. I'm sure you do actually know. So if you have an E string on a guitar and it's tuned to proper E, and you have a neighboring guitar, right, a neighboring object that's also tuned to E, like to the proper frequency. If you pluck one E string, the vibrations, right, the synchronous vibrations, meaning the matching vibrations, will vibrate the other guitar string without actually touching it. So you can physically move another guitar string just by playing the third. And you see this a lot when orchestras, they'll play the E string so everyone tunes to the E. So the instruments, like especially the violinists, the ones that are really hollow, have a lot of cavity for resonance, will vibrate. The whole body of the instrument vibrates. And that's what I was asking you about, what the crystals do in the pineal gland, because I was like, wait, is it amplifying that almost resonant cavity in your brain to like make shit happen, basically?
And I love what you brought up about the resonance of, like, you know, when you have a certain frequency yourself and you're emitting a certain frequency, or you know, you have anything around you that has its own frequency, if you vibrate that, it will, then that frequency will vibrate any similar, any similar frequencies. So this is exactly kind of how I explain the law of attraction, since I used to be an audio engineer, and doing all this kind of stuff really fascinated me. And so your core frequency, whatever you feel, if that gets amplified and you're amplifying that energy, you're going to attract to you anything that's similar to that. And so that's why when in law of attraction we talk about, if you change your mindset, if you change your thought patterns, if you change your beliefs or your feelings, you're going to change your entire reality, because then you're going to resonate with different things, and certain things will fall out of your life because they no longer resonate.
They're not bouncing back anymore.
Exactly. Like, you no longer connect with certain people, for example. Like, all of us have that example of when, you know, we have a friend and we no longer resonate with them. It's because we're no longer, you know,
don't resonate.
Exactly. And so, you know, we talk about that, we know that so well about other people, but it also works for different things and different experiences that we attract into our lives as well. And so, what was your question again about the crystals? How did that link to the crystals?
Because crystals release their own resonance. They have everything has its own vibration at some level. So crystals in your brain or in your pineal gland, I guess my question was, is part of their job there increasing that resonance in the brain or in the pineal gland, or? Yeah,
and so when you have them resonating, or when you kind of like really activate that area,
what the hell are they doing?
You basically activate that chakra, in my understanding. And so in activating that chakra, if you guys know about the third chakra, this is being able to see with much more clarity, being a clairvoyant, having more psychic intuition, being able to connect with, you know, the other side, or like the unphysical reality around us. And in seeing very clearly, you can also then start to reflect in yourself and see yourself in a much more clear light as well. It does also increase the magnetic frequency around your body as well. And so increasing your own resonance, because back to the resonant thing, if you have something that has its own vibration and it's resonating, the more powerful or the more volume that you give it, so if you pluck that guitar string harder, it's going to add more of an effect to the resonant one. So the other guitar that's not being played, that one will resonate exactly at a louder frequency. And so if you have a more amplified frequency, you're going to attract bigger, larger, more exciting experiences to you, more higher vibrational things. Not that there's anything that's like better or worse. It all just depends what you're wanting to attract. But you're able to more effectively and with much more efficiency and fastness, you can attract them to you much quicker and with much more amplitude, basically.
And what's also worth noting is it goes in both directions. A lot of people, myself included on YouTube, get carried away with saying, it's all you, it's all your thoughts, it's all you, it's all your thoughts. Like, no, circumstances don't matter. The origin is thoughts. Like, the origin is thought, the origin is mind, but as the old saying goes, as above, so below, as below, so above. The external absolutely influences the internal, because with resonance, the neighboring objects vibrate off of each other. When you hear feedback in a music sound system, it's because each one is making the other one louder and louder and louder. It just goes haywire. So if you're in other words, if you're in a shitty situation, it doesn't matter, depending upon how strong your mind is, I guess is what it comes down to. But if you're in a shitty situation or you're surrounded by shitty people, and like say your spiritual practice is kind of weak, you're not meditating, you're eating shitty food, for whatever reason your mind is not right, you're going to be more susceptible to those external frequencies, because it's literally a battle. It's like you have yours, and what happens with frequencies, just like water waves hitting each other, is they sort of meet in the middle. So if you have a high frequency but you're constantly around lower things, you're going to bring those things up just by being around them. That's why you're around spiritual people and like, oh my god, he just has an aura about him that slays. It's because he's literally mixing with you and bringing yours up, but you're also bringing his down, and you can't help that. You can't. Two things coming together are going to balance out. It's just
influence each other.
So try not to get too carried away with like the external doesn't matter, or it's not the end all say all. Of course, mind is origin. Like, we all can agree, mind is origin, but it's tough, man. Unless you're straight up Gandhi, you're gonna have trouble mixing with like shitty places.
Exactly. I mean, we are human.
Yeah.
This is why the ancients always used to talk about observing your reality and not letting the reality that's around you fully influence you, which is a hard thing to do. It's easier said than done, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's about like, if you run into a crappy situation, observe the situation. Don't identify with the situation. Don't say, okay, well, this now is me. I identify with it. Or don't let, if someone's, says something mean to you, don't let that influence or have control over you having a bad day. Instead, realize that you can observe that situation, but you don't have to identify with it. You don't have to believe that that person is correct if they say something mean to you. If you have your own strong identification with yourself and you know who you are, you don't need to let the external reality fully have a massive impact on you. Of course, it's still going to have its own impact. Anything that you're surrounded by will have its own frequencies that come and mix with your own, but it's up to you to know yourself well enough that you can disassociate or disconnect with certain things, or at least observe them. Of course, observe them in the sense of like, is it true? Because maybe the mean thing that you're being told, maybe it is true on some certain level, and that's why you're being told it. But to be able to observe that and not take it as a bad thing, because that's human growth right there, is when you realize that, okay, maybe my reality is reflecting this back to me because I need to grow and rise above this certain thing. So of course, again, we'll run into situations that are either not true, and sometimes someone's like, I really don't like your outfit, and you're like, this is a great outfit, okay?
Like damn,
this is great. It's up to you to decipher, are they right about that or are they wrong about that? And observe it in a neutral standpoint. You don't need to let it ruin you. Just see it as either it's an opportunity for growth, or maybe
opportunity to get a new outfit,
opportunity to go, excuse to go shopping, or maybe it's an opportunity for you to realize that, maybe not everyone is correct, and you don't have to identify with what everyone says about you. So there's two different sides of the spectrum there.
I saw in one of your videos, a couple of your videos, where you were talking about doing segments on like your own theories on different things. You got a theory episode or something like that?
Yeah.
Do you have any theories on, this is one of the things that I wanted to just give you guys some backstory. I'm not too big on crystals myself. I like them and I'm fascinated with them, but I haven't gone down the rabbit hole. And when I finally made the decision to do that, this woman popped up. I swear to God, within days. And then when she confirmed the collab, I live in Santa Barbara, and she's like, I'm down. I didn't tell you this. She's like, I'm down. And I saw a sign that was on Gem Fair in like Santa Barbara Gem Fair this weekend. I was like, no shit. So
what? That's wild. And then Gem. Oh my God, that's a cool connection.
Yo, I know. There's been a bunch of weird things happening. Howard, don't give in to astonishment. That'll be for a different topic though. Anywho, what I was going to ask was, do you have any of your theories of what you know on crystals? Like, how does absorbing work for crystals? Like, do you have anything?
Like absorbing energies and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Like, what's happening with iron and whatnot in this crystal that it...
Okay, I'm gonna start at like a very... I'm gonna start at this section so we can kind of encompass everything. So essentially, what science has shown, if you zoom into any particle, you go down to the subatomic level of particles, we're all made up of the exact same thing. So me and this cup right here, we're all made up of the same stuff, but why do I have a different form than this cup, or like the tarot cards or the laptop? And we all have different functionalities and we look different, and you know, this cup can't exactly talk, but I'm sure it communicates in its own way, I guess, with its own resonance, its own frequency, because everything technically has consciousness. As we're going deeper into everything, we realize everything has vibration, and there's a theory that everything has consciousness, which I believe that. And so the reason why I believe that is because everything takes its own form. This cup has a different way of expressing its own vibration. Its vibration creates this expression in this reality the way that we see it. That's why it's not a human. It's not expressing itself in that form, because we're all made up of the same stuff. And why, when you have all these different elements, it creates this crystal or that thing, it's because of the different way that particular group of particles is interacting with itself, creating the expression that it is. And so everything has its own magnetic pull, everything has its own unique frequency. And so when you look into how they interact with each other, and you kind of like look at how particles influence each other with vibration, you take two things that have its own vibration, as we were talking about before, you bump into certain people and someone's having a shitty day and they're not feeling so good, and then you have someone that's like having a great day. Those two frequencies influence each other, just how crystals, they will influence you. There's a subtle energy body that we have surrounding us, and some people say it's like part of your aura, that kind of stuff. Anything that comes in contact with that subtle energy body, and what that subtle energy body is the frequency that I emit from myself, because my particles are vibrating, which then creates like a slow kind of like,
I like your particle vibrating.
Vibration inside of me. It's vibrating it's vibrating the particles, at a it's like, it's subtly my body like waves. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. I don't even know. But
rippling.
It's like a rippling effect. Exactly. It's like a ripple effect that comes off of every single object. And so if you have like a crystal and you have it in your energetic field, or you're holding on to it, this vibration of this thing is going to influence my vibration slowly. And so anything that you have, even your couch influences your vibration, the plants you have influence your vibration, anything that you have around you,
yes, they do,
influences your vibration. So it's not just crystals that work and have some sort of metaphysical power, everything around you does.
Fair.
Yeah, and so but crystals, since they're a very natural form, they're a very natural state, having them around you, and since they're made from the earth with all these different elements just combined and compacted like so deeply and formed into these beautiful structures, like these geometric patterns, it has a certain resonance that's actually very healthy for the human body. Because if you look into, for example, there's a lot of research being done on the actual like musical frequencies, and if you guys have ever heard about 432 hertz, that's sort of like the resonance of the natural state of what we're supposed to be hearing and listening to. Because if you take, for example, a speaker and you put sand on top of that speaker and you're playing regular music, the sand is going to move, and you'll see how it moves into these like different structures. But then if you switch that music to 432 hertz, you'll notice all these beautiful geometric patterns coming out, and that's that's how you can see kind of like what that frequency is doing, how it's influencing your body. Crystals have beautiful geometric structures, and so when they come into contact with us, it actually influences your vibration to a more natural state, to a more beautiful, aligned geometric state, rather than just like grumbled up mess of energy. Basically, it realigns you.
That makes sense, because these things are one of the most structured things on the planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plants come in. Even you can have the same exact plant, and they still have crazy ass shapes. You know, but crystals are like 5 points or a spear. Like quartz always grows in the same thing, or under different crystals. But
Yeah, and it's like the golden ratio. I think it's the Fibonacci.
Yeah.
That thing. Yeah. So everything, if you come back to that state, that's like a natural state that we're supposed to be at. So having your energy more aligned to a more natural state, things just flow so much easier. Because I mean, like if you take a river, for example, and you have a river that's all messed up with all of these different things, and it's just like constantly like, you know, moving in all these sort of like chaotic directions, it's not very free flowing. It's very, again, chaotic. You're going to be living your life very like, you know, rigid and like distracted, losing your energy here, losing it over there. But if you come back to a more natural state, the river just flows. You're able to flow through things. And, you know, if you have a desire in mind, you're just like, I'm going to go in that direction. The universe just takes you there. And, like, it's just a lot more. Life becomes easy.
is this a Superman crystal? It reminds me of Superman for something. Like dark Superman.
It kind of reminds me of the Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah,
chair, right?
I know, that's even more
but yeah,
accurate.
totally. Also Superman.
This is like Superman's Dark Night of the Dark Shadow of the Night. Dark Night of the Shadow.
Dark Night of the Soul.
Dark Night of the Soul. There you go. Shadow, Dark Night. No, that's dope because it's like this. So it's almost like the same thing we're talking about resonance with the guitar. So that's like. The reason why I use the guitar scenario and the reason why you guys should use something like that makes sense is because the nature of the universe tends to be corresponding. That's what it means to as above, so below is what spirituality says. Science uses the term holographic universe, but it's the same sort of concept, you know, like the heavens mirror the earth. So what I'm picking up from what you're putting down is they each have a very well-defined resonance to them.
Yes.
Depending upon the crystals there. Mm-hmm. And keeping them close by. Do you eat the crystal? Can you eat the crystal?
I mean, there's a lot of toxic crystals out there, so I wouldn't recommend it. There's certain crystals.
Interesting. As there should be, right? If there's good ones, there's gotta be bad ones too.
Yeah, and there's also people that create oils, essential oils from different metals, and certain ones that are actually safe to eat. Yeah, definitely search him up. His name is Avery Hopkins. He's Pineal Arts. I follow him.
Oh,
on Instagram.
I know Pineal Arts.
Yeah. So he does essential oils out of different metals, like platinum and like.
I don't believe it.
It's crazy. Go search it up. Go search it up.
Well, are there any crystals that people use on the regular that are toxic and they don't realize it, or that are not as good as they think they are?
Don't ever consume pyrite. That one's very toxic.
Really?
Yeah, I heard that one's pretty toxic. I'm not actually sure which ones are safe to consume. I'm sure that there are some out there that are technically safe to consume. But definitely do your research on that, because I haven't done mine on that.
Don't just start eating shit.
No.
Even though I might give it a shot. That's crazy. I didn't realize that you could distill rocks. That's it.
Isn't that wild?
That's super crazy.
That's wild.
Have you tried them?
No, but I'm really interested in buying those metal essential oils. But they are so expensive because, of course, I'm sure making an oil out of a metal is
some next level alchemy shit.
Yeah,
Is it like Ormus in any way? You know with Ormus?
No.
Alright. Or you guys, some of you guys might know Ormus, but Ormus it's been a while since I've gone down the rabbit hole. You apply electrodes to either silver, gold, or platinum. Usually it's gold, and it breaks off the atoms of the gold, for example, so it suspends gold ions in a liquid, and you drink it, and it's supposed to do all kinds of. The conspiracy goes, that's why it's crazy. Uncrystal related. The aliens came from space. took the monkeys, made us, we mined the gold because they were making monoatomic gold for their brains, for the atmosphere, and a whole bunch of other craziness.
This is fascinating.
It's, I'm speaking like it's whatever, but I'm low-key I'm just nerd out on this stuff.
I'm really intrigued. We're going to talk about this more.
Do I continue, or have I lost you guys yet? Anywho, but so that's Ormus, but it's that's what I was curious. I gotta check this guy out. Shout out Kamea for the promo. I'll link him up. Maybe we can get him on the channel.
That would be so cool. I have so many questions I would love to ask him.
Oh.
Yeah. He holds these alchemy classes, and I'm still saving up my money.
All right, nice. There's a couple classes. There's a dude who holds. I forgot his name. It's the Anunnaki. Speaking of Anunnaki, have you heard? He's like Anunnaki something on Instagram. He's got a huge following. He does classes here. He does classes here in LA on alternative history, specifically like Egypt and the Anunnaki. He goes Thoth. He's always posting Thoth quotes. It's Thoth, whichever it is.
I use those interchangeably.
I know.
Thoth or Thoth. I hear both of them.
Or Thoth. Have you heard Thoth yet?
I have heard Thoth. Mm-hmm. It's almost like the chakra thing.
I know. I feel like it doesn't matter which one I use. I feel like I'm offending someone. Partly myself too. I'm like, you didn't use that one last time.
Yeah, exactly. Just use them interchangeably, and maybe everything's gonna be okay.
God. I keep eyeballing the ones that look like little flower bundles, the orangey ones. Yeah. Aragonite. Mm-hmm. You guys can't see. It's probably not the proper lens for this. My bad, you guys. I'll put a picture or something.
Super cool.
What was Aragonite for?
This one, it does a lot of different things. So this one is again a root chakra one because of its more red tones. It also connects to the sacral chakra. This one is really good for, oh man, I studied this one a long time ago. Let me see if I'm remembering this correctly.
I stabbed myself.
I have a description of this one on my site and I can't exactly remember. I know a lot about crystals, but there's times.
You can check if you want. I can always edit it out if you want. Yo, I low-key stabbed myself with the freaking dark shadow.
Awesome thing about Aragonite. Oh, you did?
Yeah, I sat on it. You gonna focus for me? You're not gonna do it, are you?
Hold your hand behind it.
Oh, that's right. You're just looking for Jim's face.
Yeah.
We'll block your face. Now it wants my face.
It's almost.
Curse you, T5I rebel. All right.
Okay, so this is my description on it. Aragonite is a unique stone with incredible power. It helps strengthen the bond of relationships, including friendships and lovers. Aragonite also helps the relationship you have with yourself, improving motivation and inspiration, especially if you have a history of procrastination. It's highly energetic stone, improving vitamin absorption in the body and increasing blood flow, and enhancing patience and reducing anger. It is a great crystal to have around when communicating with others. I stutter so. Oh. You waited so patiently.
I know. I was like, I can't. I didn't have it in me. I can't stop for a minute. I gotta let it roll.
Oh my god. So basically, the camera cut out.
Yeah, my bad.
And you were nice enough not to interrupt me.
I let it go for like a hot minute.
And then I look up and it's like, oh.
I was like, it was a great spiel. I loved it. I think do it all over again.
Basically, Aragonite's really good at strengthening the bond in relationships. It's really good to stop procrastination. It's really good at getting you motivated and inspired again. It's good for your creativity, and it's really good for reducing anger, enhancing patience, and a great crystal to have around when communicating with others. So that's essentially all about Aragonite.
Ooh, it's a mercury crystal. Communication, is that what you said?
Uh-huh.
Dub, so that's why we were drawn to it, because we were balls deep in Mercury retrograde, all right?
We are.
Yeah.
Which is why we got our communication tea.
Yeah, we have
our
communication tea too. Got the blue chocks.
It's perfect. We ran into some interesting Mercury retrograde stuff already today.
I know. I swear I hit 9. The number 9 lit up on the thing, and I was like, dope. She lives on floor 9. Like, shout out Tesla. And it put me out on the 10th floor, so I had to walk lower. I guess it was like the universe saying, you're going higher elevation. There you go. At least I'm running with that one. Is there anything else you feel super stoked to talk about?
I feel like we kind of covered so much there.
We did cover a lot.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
There was, and then it left, and then it came back, and it left, and now I'm drawing blanks.
Maybe Maybe
But
it's
I'm
then
stoked.
for
We
a different video.
No, we're definitely no. We covered a lot though. I'm stoked. Thanks.
Good.
Cool, you guys. Gem Goddess. Her channel is there in the description in the comments. Check her out. Actually, before we go on, you do a lot of tarot stuff, right?
Yeah.
She does a lot of tarot stuff. However, low key on her channel, at least the videos that I've seen where she's most stoked on are like, you did a cool one about consciousness evolution with planets, and you walk through each planet. And I listened to it last week, and it was dope. But I listened to it again on the way up here, and for whatever reason, it triggered something that it didn't. But it was, you were talking about the expansion of Jupiter, and then the next step is running into the boundary of that expansion. And I was like, fuck, that is like a whole. We probably shouldn't ramble on this one on that, but it's dope. So she does dope tarot, but she also does really cool, like, what's the word? Homemade theories on spirituality,
metaphysical philosophy. That's
metaphysical philosophy, which is awesome. So that you guys can do your own tarot and be just as gangster about it as the rest of us are. Anyway, thanks for being here.
Or maybe you could teach us something.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Do all the things that you do and that you say at the end of YouTube videos. Love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for the support.
Bye.
Say thank you to Gem Goddess too.
And to you.